Oh,
Audio
oh,
issues?
hello, it's me.
Hello?
Can everyone hear me? Hello? Okay, good. I was just talking about how I did not have functioning internet, so honestly, like it's fitting. That was a well-timed tech issue. Yeah, it's
Tech
been good.
issue, more like skill issue, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to call out production that directly, but yeah, you were asking specifically, Ryan, when the last time I actually managed to cast British and Irish Trackmania was. It was week one. It's been a full 3 weeks of competition since then. It's been a wild 3 weeks of competition. I'm looking forward to this final week because the Div 2 match that we have lined up has 3 of the top 4 in it. I mean, it is a fitting way to round things out.
Yeah, it really is. If we look at the Div 2 table now, the match we have coming up for you is between enemcy, N7, DvinJo, and Magpie. N7 DvinJo currently tied second, both on 14 points. They both had a best result of first. DvinJo had 1 third place. N7 had 2 second places, so they both ended up on 14 points. So this match here will decide the tiebreaker between those two. You would think that both of them should still be promoted to Division 1. But we also have Magpie in this match as well, who is only 1 point behind on 13 points. And if Magpie is able to get an upset here, then he could leapfrog one or both of them and get promoted to Division 1. But needs a really solid performance today if he wants to try and upset DvinJo and N7.
Yeah, going to be incredibly exciting. And as you said, worth keeping an eye on those positions and on what the live points are overall throughout the course of the evening because, yeah, promotion to Div 1 on the line. Not a huge amount of prize money available down here in Div 2, but just the pride of the whole thing as well. And if there's one thing I think British and Irish Trackmania players and British and Irish people in general can all agree on is playing for a bit of pride is it's a big deal when there's a community around you and you get to remember that for as long as it is until the next competition. These players are going to be going all out tonight, and the fact that the final week has delivered 3 players this close in the standings who are this close to the top of the leaderboard, I mean, it's almost like it was planned from the start.
Yeah, it really seems that way, and it's been amazing as well to see the depth of competition in Div 2. Kind of a lot of people just brushed off Div 2 as like, oh, well, if you're not in Div 1, you know, the competition's not going to be as intense. And I mean, the only real difference that we've seen between Div 2 and Div 1 is just a slight difference in pace over the maps. The consistency in Div 2 as well isn't quite as good as Division 1, but the competition is still fierce, as you say. It's stacked up at the top there. We've got, I think today, Adiman could still qualify as well. He's currently on 12 points, and if he gets a win, he could jump up if DvinJo and N7 have a particularly bad week.
That does require NMC to somehow place probably within the top 2 and potentially win the map here, or win the match, which it's not impossible. Like you said, Div 2 consistency occasionally plaguing some of these players. NMC definitely an outside chance tonight, but if NMC does well, Adiman, you're absolutely right, looking to maybe sneak away into that top 2. That would be the wildest end to tonight.
Yeah, really would. I'll go through our maps for tonight quickly. We have the return of Capital, by the way. We are starting on Getical, and then we will be going on to Cold by Mime, which has been touted by many as the hardest map of the current map pool, or of any map, actually, that we've been playing on. I think both of Mime's maps in the BIPL have really been the most challenging. So we will have Cold as our middle map. And then we have the return of Capital by Kerberos. That was the map that was played in week 1 and immediately retired. So that map now coming back. And I don't think... Yes, I did cast Magpie on Capital, and he didn't have a great week 1. I think that was... he came second, actually. I think he started off poorly on Capital, but was able to recover on the other maps, if my memory is correct, and was able to outlast whoever it was he was playing against. I can't remember exactly, but Capital might not be the best map for Magpie, and I would say as a favorite, DvinJo. I think he's only had 1 third place, and I'm not quite sure what happened on that week. Maybe just a lack of practice, but in terms of just, you know, pulling out a name, DvinJo is the biggest name in this lobby at the moment, and N7 was a bit of an unknown when we came into this season. But now he seems to have established himself quite well.
Yeah, all fair to say, and I think I will also be looking at Magpie, the player who came in 1 point behind the other two in this lobby. DvinJo, as you said, probably the odds-on favorite in this match to come out of the week with a win and secure that promotion. But Magpie's fate still very much in their hands and has been very consistent, you know, having those multiple second-place finishes and 1 win. And that win coming last week, you know, it's nice to be pushing towards the end of the tournament. With that in mind, that is Magpie managing to snipe N7 on the finish line there. DvinJo still taking a first place, and that's 2 in a row for DvinJo. So I think everything you were talking about there, Ryan, kind of starting to bear fruit already in this match. DvinJo looking very good, N7 and Magpie challenging each other behind, but it really is first place that is going to take all of the marbles here.
Yeah, DvinJo looking great in the first couple of rounds, as you say, and it does look like the battle is going to be between Magpie and N7. I feel like N7 probably has the slight skill advantage, but we'll see. I mean, Magpie, he said yesterday that he's been training hard and that he feels pretty confident. He didn't think he could beat DvinJo, but he knew that his real battle was with N7. So it's just going to be kind of a game of chicken, really, in terms of pace, consistency. And I think they'll be trading blows throughout all 3 maps here.
I'm hoping so. We've already seen 1 great round, and this is looking to be another close one as Magpie is just about trailing N7 heading into the back half of the map here. Magpie managing to carry a little more speed, it looks like there, and that's maybe a mistake from N7 that has cost them. Possibly. It's still neck and neck. N7 does manage to hold on in that 1 checkpoint, but as we get to the back half, as we get to the last turn, as we get across the line, it's going to be 7,000ths of a second, and N7 managing to take the 2nd place on this round.
Yeah, that's a crazy round. We just had Magpie win by 5,000ths, and then immediately afterwards, N7 just sniping him by 7,000ths. We saw Magpie on that black platform take a much more inside line and carry a lot more speed, but he couldn't quite carry it all the way to the finish. But they are literally separated by hair's width at the line at the moment, and that's exactly what we want to be seeing. It's a bit of a mistake from Magpie at the start here. So N7 maybe can relax a little bit, doesn't have to drive quite as fast if he wants to beat Magpie in this round, but he might even try and challenge DvinJo here, although DvinJo does seem to be steadily pulling out a gap.
N7.
That's a no slide from N7 though. Magpie going to be taking over, so that is a gift given to Magpie by N7, but he is still right behind.
Yeah, it's a gift, but in the worst tradition of a Christmas holiday, might get ungrateful and take it back. It's a gift maybe to himself, as N7 is still chasing, and Magpie will crash straight back into a wall, and surely that's not recoverable at this point from Magpie, barring another mistake from N7, who is racing away into the distance, racing towards the last couple of turns here. Big sweeping right-hander across towards that finish line, and we won't see a crash at the finish line. That will be N7 picking up another 2nd place, and N7 and Magpie tied after 4 rounds.
Yeah, Magpie doing his best to drive safe, but I feel like there's a little bit of nerves, there's a little bit of hesitation going into those drifts, and on a track as technical as this, you just cannot afford to do that. You've got to be full focus, full commitment, and full confidence in those turns, in those drifts especially. DvinJo predictably winning every round there, so he has had a perfect record so far on Getical. As we now move on to Coles, and Magpie yesterday was saying that, I think slightly misquoting him, but he said that he doesn't drive the world record lines. He basically drives his own lines that allow him to essentially just complete the map. Because
that's entirely fair. Orion, we are a radio cast at the moment, just as a heads up. As,
yeah.
In an attempt to get rid of the dashboard, we do appear to have accidentally lost the game altogether. But it's a warm-up round. If there was a time for it to happen, this was it. This was why it was done in between rounds. This is why I could never be a producer. I would have done this in the middle of a round.
So, do we have game? Do we have stream?
No, we will have game. Yeah, he's getting back in. We're just going to leak password on stream real quick, and then we'll be straight back into things. And if you want to turn off the dashboard overlay, you press F3, and then it's script in the... Figure that one out, and then we'll get it turned off. And honestly, I don't even know why chat was complaining, Orion. The fact that they could see the gears and the inputs on screen, they were getting a treat here in these rounds.
Okay, oh my word. Did we see DvinJo crash the finish then? Please tell me we
did,
saw that.
but it's spectate. It's fine. It doesn't count. It's or not spectate. It's warm up. I'm losing my mind as well already.
Well, we'll see how they perform on cold. Just going by that warm-up round, Magpie was driving very safe. DvinJo just looked unstoppable. So he was a good second ahead, but did crash the finish. So had that round actually counted, Magpie would have actually been the winner. But DvinJo taking an early lead in N7 in second. N7 looks a bit closer to DvinJo than he is to Magpie on this map so far. But we'll see how the second half goes for Magpie as he's starting to close up now. And a good drift there, but N7 pulling out that gap once again with a little bit more speed.
Good speed from Magpie on the plastic, but N7 holding on every other surface so far on this round. And it is DvinJo out in front, hoping to not crash the finish like he did on his warm-up round. And Magpie, catching a little bit of airtime, will be drifting further away from the leaders on this one. Keeping on board, watching if DvinJo does manage to actually get up into this finish line, manages to not crash out of it. He gets an awkward turn, and now N7 a chance to snipe the line. He's carrying the speed towards the end. He is in front heading into the final turn, and N7 looks to take a round win away from DvinJo for the first time tonight.
Yeah, that was just a no slide from DvinJo, and it cost him so much speed. N7 in prime position there, and does get the win, and that is going to hurt Magpie in their battle. DvinJo still on decent points, only losing 3 there, but an important victory for N7 in the context of this match.
Yeah, still looking for that second place, and finally, for the first time, opening up a little bit of space between N7 and Magpie, who literally have just traded second and third, backwards and forwards between now, and came in tied to this round, and all of a sudden there is that large gap between them. Large, it's still only 9 points, and we still have an awfully long way to go on this one, but once again, a very good start for N7, who's looking comfortable up until that turn.
Yeah, well, here comes Magpie on the plastic. Seems to have pretty good success on this. Definitely carries more speed out of that plastic turn than N7 and is currently a 10th above, but just a little bit of a release there. I think N7 making a similar mistake, and onto this grass turn. Look at N7 risking fully on the grass there. You're able to gain so much time there, but it is such a big risk. Catches so many people off. This drift into the hole in the middle of the road as well is also a nightmare to navigate. And after all of that, Magpie and N7 still only separated by about a tenth. N7 has a much better line. Magpie all over the place, just catches the inside curb there on the dirt, and he is going to finish in third this time, barring a miss in the finish. N7 just about makes it. Took that jump quite low, but got a fortunate bounce to make it into the finish.
Magpie was just trying to risk it on that one, going really inside on the dirt, and ends up catching a wheel on that raised corner and just bouncing out a little bit. Not enough to full crash, not enough, unfortunately, for NMC to catch up and take a third place in this matches. NMC is going to bomb out pretty early on here, which means that we're going to have very early points shift to these players losing a lot more points. This is going to be a relatively quick match, Ryan.
Yeah, I do apologise for not really talking about NMC, but he you know,
he's
no
here
disrespect.
To collect the paycheck and get an early night, you know? I respect it.
Yeah, obviously. No,
he's against 3 of the top 4 players in this division at the moment as well. Like, honestly, I think NMC had to know that he was coming in as a bit of an underdog.
Yeah.
NMC doing better than production is, you know, the call, which, hey, production said it themselves. We're allowed to say it. Sorry, Ski. You know.
Yeah, as you say, NMC looking to go out early here, and that will obviously mean that the point losses do start to become a little bit bigger. It's 10th for third, 10 points for third, sorry, 6 points for second, 3 points for first. I don't think DvinJo is going to be hurt too much by that, although he doesn't look as comfortable on this map as the other ones. Magpie is not going to quite have enough speed for the snipe, but he definitely was catching there. N7 with another win on this map, and seems to be really comfortable here, actually. And DvinJo, I wouldn't say struggling, but nowhere near the dominance that he was showing on Getical.
And because of what we were saying just there, that NMC, unfortunately, more than likely to go out on the next map, and because the point losses accelerate from there on out, this map could almost become already decisive the next time we get around for third place. It could be, and that's worth keeping in mind. The cold is going to be a significant map in the second rotation as well, especially in that battle for second place, where it has been Magpie losing touch a little bit with N7 as a result.
Oh, that's a big crash from DvinJo, though. So Magpie is going to be into third place here. And MC finds himself in second. N7 all the way up the front. DvinJo 7 seconds behind, so you have to say he's out of this round. All three players in front now can just full safe. I'm sure Magpie will try his best to overtake NMC and get a second place in this round, just so he doesn't lose quite as many points to his rival. He has overtaken there on the drift turn, NMC going full safe, but N7 still out front and still driving a commanding lead. And Magpie surely here is going to finish in second place. Just has to get this transition right and make the finish. Both of them do. NMC also needs to make the finish for a third place. Has he missed it?
He did a little bit, but he made it across. It's okay. He made it across in the end. He got a little bit of a skill issue on the right side of the finish line there, which was a plastic issue. Okay, it wasn't his fault. He bounced off it. I do want to highlight how much I love NMC's car skin. I don't know if it's the one that he usually uses, but the safety car with the speed limited to 50 written across the back of it is just, it's really entertaining in context, Ryan. I'm sorry.
I like the who has the Pipo car?
Magpie?
I think it's Magpie.
It could be Magpie. It's probably Magpie. Yeah. I don't know if I like it so much as I'm intrigued by it. Kind of the same way I imagine, like, you know, those like brightly colored insects and frogs that are like really lethal to things that eat them, but like you're still like, ooh, that's really pretty, and I want to kind of touch it because it's really pretty. Like, it's that kind of thing, you know, where I'm like, oh no, this isn't something I should be associated with, but like, ooh, pretty colors.
Well, we do now see Captel on stream for the first time since week 1, and a map that you're a bit more familiar with, Nua. You casted this map alongside me in week number 1. But I think the story that's going to play out here is NMC will drop out in this map unless the other 3 players have a consistency issue, which I can't really see happening. Maybe NMC could get 1 round benefiting from a crash, but I feel like we could see him drop out. And it is also worth noting, we were talking about N7 versus Magpie. Well, N7 is currently on the same number of points as DvinJo now, so this match could be getting pretty spicy if N7 is able to keep up this level of consistency.
Yeah, and I mean, Magpie likely to drop below the 50-point mark here on this map as well, which does start to mean that, you know, when you're looking at a third place being 10 points, 50 points, 5 rounds, if you're starting to drop into third place more often, and with how Magpie was looking on cold compared to his rivals, that's something to keep an eye on in the future still. I know I highlighted last round, I'm highlighting it again here, and with Magpie making an early mistake on Captel as well, things are starting to look like it might be a battle for first place after all, as you were saying.
Yeah, well, N7's also made a mistake a bit further upfield as well. Magpie is starting to close in on NMC and N7. I don't think N7 got the gear there either, and Magpie going to pull off a double overtake here on the plastic maybe. He's right behind N7 and should have a slightly better line. N7 might need to release, but actually, better line than Magpie. I thought Magpie going full outside there. Oh, that's a full dead from DvinJo, and now it is a race to the finish between Magpie and N7. N7 with a better line there. Just needs to survive this outside dirt and make the finish. N7, does he make it into the finish? Yes, he does. Magpie does as well. NMC misses the finish, and DvinJo gets in third.
Well, DvinJo saved a little bit there, as you said, full dead in the middle of the track. And this finish is also one that I remember causing a lot of issues back in week 1. This was definitely the one that caught players out the most. Not just that outside dirt, but also just that last jump into the finish line. It is very easy to full crash into it. And I'm not even going to get into the clip we had of 2 players DNFing and forcing a scramble to figure out if the rulebook could deal with the situation, which, spoilers, it couldn't.
Well, we go on to round 2 on Captel now. N7 with another victory. I think he might even have as many round wins as DvinJo now. And N7 actually leading on points at this point. So Magpie is going to have his work out if he wants to try and get anywhere near, DvinJo and N7. Magpie on 55 points at the moment. DvinJo on 73, N7 on 78. And they are all only separated by 0.2 as we go into the latter stages of this round. onto the grass. DvinJo in front as things stand. Magpie dropping a little further back from N7, but he does have a much better drift, carrying more speed into this outside dirt turn, but I don't think he's quite got enough to snipe. Maybe he does. Yes, he does. No, he misses the finish. Magpie full sent it, but couldn't quite make it stick.
Oh, Magpie could taste it. He wanted that snipe so badly, and you can understand why. Has felt this match slipping out of his grasp the entire way through. As you said, N7, as many round wins as DvinJo, it feels like at this point, has completely caught up, was round leader, was match leader going into that round. And Magpie had the chance to take a spot away, to maybe claw back a little bit, and instead just falls further and further away down that leaderboard.
Yes, he does. But we go on to our third round here, and the three main protagonists once again starting out separated by mere hundredths. DvinJo in the lead, going to have more speed coming out of this turn and a much better line as well. Can go much tighter here onto the grass. Magpie overtaking N7, but he is only just behind, and they are trading places just constantly. Magpie seems to be better on the plastic than the other two, and should have a better line out of here. Was in first place, but DvinJo and N7 take a much more inside line there onto that black platform and gain a lot of time on Magpie.
Yep, Magpie is now drifting away from first, is drifting back to N7, but looks to have maybe held it. That's an awkward transition onto the dirt, and it means a touch on the outside wall. I'm not sure Magpie even has the speed for the finish, and either way, it doesn't matter, as N7 will get across the line first. And that means Magpie dropping to another third place. This finish has caused massive problems for him.
Yeah, one slight touch there was all it took for Magpie to lose all of his speed. Still somehow made the risky finish, but N7 was just so close. Another storyline that we touched on at the start of this map. enemcy on his last chance here. If he finishes in fourth place in this round, we will be saying goodbye to him on Captal. See if he can survive, but it's looking bleak. I think he's finished fourth all but one or two rounds so far. But I will say that is probably not a reflection on his skill, but more a reflection on the skill of the three other players that he is facing in his match.
Yeah, I mean, look, no doubt, enemcy comes back and wins from here. Just the entire match. 100%. I'm
going to respond with one word, and that is cap. And let's move on.
Would be kind of sick, though, we have to admit. It's probably not going to happen. enemcy in last place at the moment. And again, the effect on the match as a whole is that now third place loses you 10 points. And with Magpie struggling a little bit in the last few rounds, that means that he has a little bit less breathing room than maybe he would have liked. He's looking to drop down to just over 30 points here in this round, barring a miracle at the finish line, barring a crash from one of his rivals. And they've been completely safe the entire way through. DvinJo and N7 within 2 points of each other after we finish with one full rotation through the maps. Magpie down to 33. enemcy will drop out exactly 12 rounds in, doing it at a pretty opportune time, as we will hit into our second rotation of the maps with only 3 players.
Yeah, and Magpie, I'm a little bit worried for him here because DvinJo on Getical had a perfect round when we played the map in the first rotation. Yep. And so I can't see anyone beating DvinJo. N7 was close, but it was more of a battle between N7 and Magpie. They looked pretty close on pace. Magpie slightly less consistent. So I do worry for Magpie now, because I can see DvinJo comfortably winning every round again. And if Magpie continues to lose his battle against N7 on this map, he will very quickly see his points evaporate and could even end up on last chance by the end of this map if he consistently finishes in last place.
Even consistently not picking up a round win, you know? I mean, 3 last places and a third place, that's still plenty. Even 3 last places are going to put Magpie onto last chance, no matter what else happens in that other round. So yeah, scary times for Magpie, needing to pick up some wins. And the question for me becomes as well, was N7 just warming up over the course of it and is now going to maybe even challenge DvinJo this time around? Or is DvinJo just that much stronger on this map than the other 2 players we have left?
It's possible. I mean, N7 has definitely warmed up into this match and honestly looks like he could even be challenging DvinJo here, which really wasn't expecting coming into this match. But I mean, we've done nothing but underestimate N7 all season, so it serves us right for doing it again tonight. Yeah, Magpie now seems like the one that is the one that is going to drop out next. And it's kind of exciting because I personally haven't casted a match so far where we've had like two players that have been, you know, trading rounds at the front and end up on the same points. It's always kind of been, we've got to like the last two and one of them is maybe on 20 points and the other's on 50. And at that point, you're like, well, this game's already over. But this could be set up for a real like battle between DvinJo and N7 if Magpie isn't quite able to find the pace and consistency to challenge them.
Yep, we'll see. I mean, N7 has started incredibly strongly here on the first round on Getical, but DvinJo is looking to get back, and DvinJo has made a mistake. Magpie, that could be the lifeline he needs in this match, never mind this round, as he is gaining on N7 as well, but that's an awkward line from Magpie, is managing to keep it out of the wall for the time being, and gaining a little bit on N7. But N7 has started to pull away instead again as DvinJo is chasing down the two in front. It's going to come down. Last couple of turns. Huge crash from Magpie. Absolutely not what he needed. It will be a win for N7. Fully warmed up, fully in this match, fully chasing down DvinJo. But Magpie could not afford that crash.
No, really couldn't. It was DvinJo with the crash as well, who we thought would be winning, if not every round. So Magpie in second place there, crashing. That is a criminal error, and it is going to drop him 10 points. N7 and DvinJo still roughly on the same, but Magpie now on 22. He's made a mistake at the start as well, adding insult to injury. It seems like it's just all unraveling for Magpie. He looked pretty comfortable on Getical at the start. I believe him and N7 were pretty level on points, but just hasn't gone his way the second time round, as we now focus on the leaders to see if N7 can actually catch DvinJo, who hasn't made a mistake at that point this time around. N7 about half a second off as things stand. DvinJo getting through that turn nice and cleanly. It is really about threading the needle. N7 with a bit of an awkward line are going to allow DvinJo to extend his lead even further. And barring a mistake, I think DvinJo should go back to his winning ways here.
Looking to pick up the round win. Both of these players playing it very close to the wall on this round. Both of them having a couple of wobbly moments, but not crashing and managing to make it across that line cleanly means that the points gap will drop back to within one, with DvinJo regaining the lead. It is another 10-point loss for Magpie, who's finished a long way back from his opponents. And you said it in the middle of that round. Magpie came out of round one here on Getical with the same points as N7. They were tied coming off this map. They had traded second and third place back between each other over and over again. And Magpie is now 50 points down on either of his rivals.
Yeah, 2 third places in a row means minus 20 points so far on this map for Magpie. And another mistake you'd feel is going to... Oh no, it was just a lag spike. I saw him disappear on my screen and then he was just back. DvinJo's made a big mistake though. DvinJo with a big mistake. Yeah, that's not
just a poll. It's going to take you out as effectively, though, and that was a lag spike again? No. It's Magpie has just driven off the map. Yeah.
Well, N7 back in prime position to take this round. DvinJo with a big crash. Magpie, is he going to overtake here? DvinJo is literally crawling along at the speed of a JCB, and Magpie is flying past him. See if Magpie can actually hold this one. They're not separated by too much here. DvinJo only a second behind, so if Magpie makes a similar mistake to the one we saw him make previously, which he's not going to do, just the finish line left. Can he make it in? Yes, he can. Second place for Magpie, damage limitation, but I feel that it is already on the cards that he is very soon to drop out of this match.
Absolutely. It's not irrelevant that Magpie manages to take the second place away from DvinJo there, because it means another second place in our next round would keep Magpie guaranteed alive for another round after that. Would drop to 1 point and still have a round before going on to last chance. But it does require Magpie to manage to get back up into second place again, and the players against them, they're not going to make it easy.
Yeah, DvinJo hasn't had a great map this time around. I want to point out that he drove a 53.8 in one of his wins, whereas N7's best time is only a 54.5. So N7 has much less pace on this map, but DvinJo not quite able to find the consistency. Speaking of consistency, Magpie with a big mistake there as we go up front to N7, who is within touching distance of DvinJo and might be able to take him out if DvinJo makes a mistake or just full sends it onto the plastic. We'll have to see about that. Only a couple of turns left in this round now. DvinJo extending his lead though, and N7 I think happy to take second place at this point, but he's going to have to start thinking about beating DvinJo consistently, as he has shown he can do, because Magpie now on last chance. He's survived this map, but I think very soon we will be saying goodbye.
Yeah, and I think you're right. N7 didn't need to overly risk to try and catch DvinJo there. It was more important to just put Magpie down onto last chance as quickly as possible and try and eliminate one more factor from this match. Focus on the battle at the top. And even with that round win, DvinJo is still behind N7 by 3 points, but still behind N7. So DvinJo started incredibly strongly in this match, has been struggling to show that form consistently against N7. And I think really DvinJo has still been the faster player when he gets a clean run. He's just been making more mistakes than N7 ultimately.
And I mean, I would say N7's best map was probably this one as well. This is where he really put the gap between himself and Magpie. Magpie just driving a bit safer, but N7 looked comfortable in going for those riskier lines on this map. And DvinJo actually has more pace on this map by about 0.4 in terms of their local record at the moment. But N7 just seemed like he had a bit more consistency. DvinJo was maybe just a little bit hesitant going into the turns on this map, which are so tight as well. So we'll have to see how this plays out. It will go beyond this map as both players around 50 points at the moment. And I think it will probably end up being decided on Captal.
Probably decided on Captal, but we said in the first round as well that this was going to be a map that ended up being decisive in our second cycle through the maps, as it looked like NMC was on the way out pretty quickly in that first round, unfortunately, and that ended up being the truth. If Magpie gets eliminated in round 1 here, or even round 2, all of a sudden, even second place is your minus 10 point loss. And all of a sudden, if N7 has another strong round, if he comes out swinging on cold again, DvinJo could be very close to dropping away immediately on Captal, and N7 could be in the driver's seat heading into what should be the last map.
Well, we'll see how the rounds play out. We'll firstly see if Magpie is able to hold on for a number of rounds, or if he drops early. It's a lovely turn from N7 to take 2 places for the price of 1 there. Onto the plastic, still pulling out a gap. A lovely turn, extending his lead over DvinJo. Drift up the hill, N7 still in front, but DvinJo with a bit more speed onto the ramp. Is he going to go for the risky line here? Does get it, N7 with a bit of airtime as well, allowing Magpie to come through. And a nice drift from Magpie, cementing his second place, but they are so close. DvinJo had a bit of a wobbly landing there, but everyone making it through okay. N7 now with a more inside line, overtaking Magpie, and it is going to be so close as we dash for the line.
N7 wobbles off that corner. Magpie regains the lead. Magpie looking to stay alive. One more round is up towards the finish line, sideways into it, and will stay alive, taking 10 points away from N7 as well. And that's a 7-point swing in the race for first place. DvinJo will regain the lead up there. A huge round for our overall scoreboard.
Yep, only separated by 4 points though are DvinJo and N7, so still really nothing to decide between them. But Magpie has kept himself alive for another round here. Does seem to be driving well. Pressure maybe just inviting him to really, you know, put the bit between his teeth and go, I've really got to drive my absolute best here, and he is doing that. There were a couple of mistakes up front that allowed him to benefit and get further upfield, but he did say yesterday that he'd be driving the safer lines and just hoping for mistakes, and that's exactly what happens, as he is in third place again, but only by a couple of tenths. DvinJo with a very awkward lock touches the wall as well. Magpie comes through into first place. Needs to hold this now, but could survive for another round here, and it could be 10 points taken away from DvinJo. Magpie driving superbly out front.
DvinJo has speed though on N7. That drift just working a little bit better. More speed onto this dirt. DvinJo so close to the wall. The line is slightly better for DvinJo. He's still carrying the speed, but maybe doesn't have the line. It's going to be so close to finish. DvinJo inside. He's risking. It's not enough. Magpie crosses the line in first. DvinJo takes third, but it is as close as you could ask for.
My word, Magpie just took a slightly wider line, and N7 pushed it as far inside as he dared and almost managed to get the snipe for first then. Only 500ths but Magpie survives another round, and his two competitors have dropped down 10 points apiece in the previous two, now on 35 points each. Magpie is doing the unthinkable here, staying alive, and he needs to continue it if he wants any chance of making it on to Captal.
On the chase, the Magpie looking for that shiny top two, chunking to try and make it into Captal, but right now it's going to be a tall order as he is behind, but is gaining on N7. N7 has lost a little bit of speed, but is still holding the place in front of Magpie as we head up onto the grass, as we head towards the back half of Cold here. Can Magpie make the overtake happen? It's looking like the answer might be yes.
Yeah, N7 had a little bit of airtime, and it almost allowed Magpie to come through with more speed. He's right behind him, but he's touched the wall! The tiniest of touches, and that could be all over for Magpie. Has to pray that one of them misses the finish or makes a mistake. N7 and DvinJo know that that crash has happened now. DvinJo will keep an eye on him up front. Makes the finish. N7 in as well. And Magpie fought back bravely, but ultimately couldn't hold on for too much longer. And now we have a fight to the finish between DvinJo and N7, both on just over, well, DvinJo on 32 points and N7 on 29, almost nothing separating them, and it's going to go right down to the wire.
Oh, I feel for Magpie on that last round. Was trying so hard, giving it absolutely everything, and it is the slimmest of margins, the slightest rub up against the wall, no other mistakes in a round where he needed to catch up with N7. And that's rough, but sometimes that's how it goes, and Magpie will drop out in third place, and we have a proper fight for first place. A proper fight to get that promotion into Div 1, because that's what it comes down to now. N7 versus DvinJo to take that spot.
And I really think now that there's nothing that really separates them. They both seem to be about the same pace on the maps. I mean, DvinJo has more pace, I think, is the overall message, but doesn't quite have the consistency that N7 has been showing. He's driving a couple of tenths slower, but does seem to be making less mistakes. And ultimately, that's been costing DvinJo, because a crash ends up in a -10, whereas just driving a little bit slower, like N7 is just a -3 sometimes. N7 has slightly more speed here, might get the snipe, but he's a little bit too far away. Great round from both players there, driving within a tenth of each other, and great pace as well.
Yeah, that was close. It was less close than I was hoping for by the time we got to the actual finish line. Still a tenth between the two competitors, but N7 still keeping it within touching distance. It's still now a couple of rounds that N7 has to win in order to catch back up with DvinJo, but they're running out of rounds. If N7 comes second twice, if DvinJo manages to win 2 rounds in a row here, that is immediately N7 on last chance, and it's DvinJo with a couple of lives left in order to try and put N7 out. But if N7 picks up a single round, all of that maths gets a lot more complicated, and all of a sudden things get a lot less secure for DvinJo, who, you said it, has been the driver suffering a little bit from consistency in this pairing. The pressure is now well and truly on. It's up to DvinJo to make that change.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm struggling to remember who had the better map here, but I think that's mainly because neither of them really shone out on Captal above the other one. They were just equally matched. Like they came into this map on pretty equal points, and they finished it on pretty equal points as well. So I really can't decide. I think that this could be going to a double last chance and a sudden death elimination on this map here. So. I feel like last round on this map, could we possibly get a double last chance, or would it then be decided on Getical? Trying to do the math here.
There's got to be a world, right? Like, you're guaranteed at least a 6-point loss, even if you win the round. So even if DvinJo, for example, comes second in the first round and then wins, or no, if he wins the first round but comes second in the next 2, that would put both of them on last chance on the last round on this map. Yeah, it would. Exact points for DvinJo for that one. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. We're on to our first round on Captal. As you said, the players even. It's maybe up to DvinJo to prove that he can keep the consistency when it matters. And it's DvinJo showing as well that he has a little bit of pace. Even in the first couple of turns, he's pulled out a car length. Yeah, he does pull out a little bit in that first dirt turn, but N7 is right behind. Takes a much wider line here, but it's a much safer one as well. And he's pulled out maybe another tenth there as we go onto the grass. N7, a little bit less speed on the jump. DvinJo
0.4 ahead now, driving exceptionally out in front as we go onto the plastic, up the hill, and onto the sausage blocks. N7 has a slightly better line there, but still 0.4 the gap. DvinJo almost a wobble there. He's losing a little bit of time to N7, who takes this turn full inside, and it's going to come all the way down to the finish line, or this outside dirt turn to decide the first round. DvinJo doesn't touch the sidewall there, neither does N7. A clean round from both, but ultimately DvinJo with the better pace.
DvinJo just faster is the story of that round, and that is N7 now unable to lose another round without going down to last chance. He needs to take a round away from DvinJo here if he wants to do it, and if N7 wins this round and then wins the next, they both hit last chance at the same time. I want to see it. I also just have to call out, trying to watch DvinJo's wheels on this map to see how close he is to a wall, very difficult.
Yeah, his wheels are trippy. I hadn't mentioned them yet, but yeah, they're very trippy.
This map in particular, there's so many outside dirt lines where you're waiting to see if he gets that slight touch, and that was N7 with almost a little bit of a touch, and it's going to be DvinJo pulling out another lead. I'd say this is about another 0.3, 0.4. Again, it's just under 0.3. DvinJo in the back half of this map, I think he can just play it safe from here, Ryan.
Yeah, potentially. He does pull out that gap pretty early. It all seems to be won in that tight drift, which he goes much further outside in the braking, but then gets full inside line and a lot more speed coming out of it. N7 seems to come back on this grass section here, but goes a little bit wide on exit, and it just seems to kind of cancel out whatever he's gaining on DvinJo, who is continuing to drive brilliantly. Just needs to make the finish here and does so. So N7 on to last chance and needs to win the next 2 rounds against DvinJo if we want a double last chance situation here.
Yep. And needs to win the next 3 rounds in a row in order to win the match.
Yes, he does.
3 rounds in a row for N7 to win this match, to win qualification, promotion up into Div 1. Look, it's a tall order, we can't lie. It's going to be difficult, especially with DvinJo having dialed in that consistency. It's going to be made all that much harder. N7 with the early mistake, DvinJo with the early lead. It's going to drop already, though, as he has made a little bit of an error himself. The lead cut in half, and N7 so close to that outside wall, has been every time. This really is where DvinJo opens his gap. It immediately balloons back up to a full half second, and DvinJo in full control of the round, in full control of the match.
Yeah, really can just drive safe here, safe it all the way to the finish, and he will be victorious in this match. I will say that N7 finishing in second has probably done enough to still qualify. He will be receiving 3 points, so he will go up to 17. So that should be enough for him to still finish top 3 here.
Yeah, that's on me. Listen, I thought it was top 2. It's top 3, and well done to both of these players as a result, as they will take first and second in the match. DvinJo takes it with 8 points remaining. Just a sign of how close this was. As you said, one of the closest matches that we have seen in the British and Irish Pro League. N7 with a very, very good performance when it came to it. Magpie, honestly, nothing to sniff at as well. Neck and neck with N7 until N7 really started to pull out form that, Orion, I'm not sure we even guessed that he had in him until we saw this match.
No, we really didn't, but it proves why him and DvinJo were completely even on points. I think that was the closest matchup that we've seen on stream for sure. We thought N7 and Magpie were going to be battling it out, but he really took the fight to DvinJo, and I feel like that match could have gone either way. It probably all came down to what map we ended up on with them in the 1v1, and DvinJo just seemed like he had the better pace on Captal and managed to iron out his problems with consistency that we'd seen on previous maps when it really mattered. So props to DvinJo for picking it up, but also huge shout out to N7 for making that match as close as it was.
We had some incredible rounds. We had back-to-back rounds that were less than 100th in them in our first cycle through the maps. We had a 5,000th gap and then a 7,000th gap to decide second and third, which was an awful lot of fun. And it's not the last bit of fun that we're going to have tonight. We will be back with more Trackmania action, but we are going to take a quick break in order to prepare ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually for Div 1 action. See you shortly.
And welcome back, everyone, and here to digest and discuss all of that match, we are joined by Leo and Amaterasu. We also have the winner of that match, DvinJo here, who will bring in just shortly. But coming to you first, Leo, I must say as well, that is a lovely coat and tea cozy that you're wearing there. You look very warm. How was that match for you? It looked like, or we thought initially, me and Nua, that DvinJo was going to run away with it, but N7 really made his life difficult.
Yeah, he was quite hot in that match, a lot hotter than it is in my place at the moment. Yeah, it was a sort of a game of two players, and we thought it might be a game of three. Magpie not really having the pace to keep up with the top two in that one. Enemcy, I think, he tried hard, but he was a step behind in the standings going into this one, and I think it kind of showed with his performance, not able to keep up and sadly going out quite early. But yeah, a tale of two different styles, you could say. N7, maybe more predictable rounds, very few mistakes, whereas DvinJo, sort of fast and furious, you could say, but caused him to crash out a few times. But overall, yeah, an exciting one and a well-deserved win for him.
Yeah, DvinJo definitely was all or nothing, and if he did crash, it tended to be a big one that put him at the back. And we'll come to you, Amma, to digest the table a bit. Royboy with a absolutely perfect league, literally first place in every single match, finishing on 20 points. DvinJo had one blip in week 2 where he finished third, but ultimately managed to win every other match that he played in, finishing on second on 18 points, and N7 finishing third on 17. And then we have Magpie in a confirmed 4th place, so that 3rd place there not hurting him too much. He finishes on 15 points. And then we have Addyman and Monochrome tied for 5th on 14. Padster in 7th on 13. Blueberry, Killjoy, their match still yet to come in, so they should actually jump up a little bit, so those places aren't quite confirmed. But I guess my question to you, Amma, is, if you'd been given a blank table of the Division 2 players, do you think that's how it would have panned out in your predictions? Is there anyone that's surprised you in how well they've done, or have there been any performances that have maybe let you down slightly?
I'm just congrats to all the players who made it, but I'm surprised that Monochrome got 5th with having 1 point first week, which wasn't his week. So
yeah,
he came in with 1 point and did really well. And I'm a bit sad to see Blueberry tied 8th right now. I don't know. From the eye test, he looked a bit better than that. So I'm not surprised, but I'm happy and hyped to see what he does next season.
Yeah, definitely. Those two players you've highlighted definitely had kind of pendulum swings in their season. As you say, Monochrome in the first week finished last place in his match, but then 2 weeks later a 1st place, and this week as well a 1st place. So tied in a 3-way tie for 5th place with Killjoy, Addyman and Monochrome. And then, as you say, we have Blueberry, Floyd and Padster tied on 8th place with 13 points. So that's quite a crazy stat, that between 4th place and what is actually 10th place, they were all separated by only 2 points. So it really does show that Div 2 was incredibly competitive, especially in the midfield. We could say that we had maybe 3 clear front runners in Royboy, DvinJo and N7, but everyone else was super close. But we will now bring in one of those front runners, and you've just seen him win the previous match. Hello, DvinJo. Welcome to the stream. And congratulations. How was that match for you?
Hello. Match was good for me, I guess. Went a bit of safe Andy, but still got the win, so I'm pretty proud.
Did N7 surprise you that he was able to challenge? Because we were kind of saying that you would be up front and it would be him versus Magpie for 2nd and 3rd, but he was driving really consistently, and whenever you made mistakes, he was always finishing in 1st. So were you starting to get a bit worried, or were you confident that you could see him off?
I mean, it was a bit annoying seeing that he was consistent, and that threw me off a bit, but from what I've heard, that is him being a consistent machine, expected.
Leah, any questions for our match winner?
I mean, just first, congratulations. I think people were a bit surprised to see you in Div 2, but you've kind of shown that perhaps you were Div 1 caliber all along by ending at the top of the table. So well done for that. Yeah, just when it came down to the final two, you were, quite even with N7 in terms of points, but it looked like you just kind of ran away with it. What did you tell yourself to keep focus in that moment?
I was just in my zone. I was just fully vibing, and I just said to myself, okay, no more dumb mistakes, and we've done it. And yeah, we reached it.
Well, it's that easy apparently, everyone. So there's no excuse for us, winning those top of the day battles next time.
Amma, any burning questions you want to ask Mr. DvinJo?
Are we gonna see the same, like what happened in the qualifier in Div 1 now? Just
No. Different Winky this time.
different Winky? Okay. Love to see that. Love to hear that. No more trolling.
No more trolling. Top 4. Smiley
Easy
face.
club.
So yes, with that you are promoted to Div 1. Is there any what are your targets now for next season? You've made Div 1. Is there anyone in particular that you're like, I want to beat that guy, or are you just gonna, play at your best and see how things pan out?
I mean, plan is top 4, so anyone in my way will get, I don't know, demolished, I think.
Even the likes of the Boz Bears, Ethos, Wizzy, Acros.
We don't talk about Boss Bears or Wizzy. Acros is beatable.
Ooh, love it.
That sounds like a grudge match in the making. I'm excited for that one. Okay, well, I think that is going to wrap up Division 2. Again, many congratulations to yourself, DvinJo, for the promotion and for the win today. But I think we're going to go to another short break. On the other side, we will have Division 1 action coming up for you, where Nieroku, Babs, Dank, and Gilmonster are fighting for the relegation spots in Div 1. I will be joined by Nualek once more in about 5 minutes' time, so don't go anywhere.